Some things to think about when you look at creating a Trustee Emeriti program is, first of all, why? At St. John's, our program was really created for one of the primary reasons was to keep our trustees, our former trustees, engaged. What we found is our trustees are predominantly the most loyal and many times, for many schools, the most generous donors for a school community. When trusteeship ends, all of a sudden, the individual goes, for lack of a better term, cold turkey on the school. There isn't the same level of his engagement. And there can't be because a person's no longer a trustee. But what the Emeriti does is after 9 years of service as a trustee, we recognize that the individual can be tired, but also this program provides a great connection to the school. The Trustees Emeriti Program creates a formal structure to really maintain that connection, to maintain the relationships that the individual has developed, and it creates the possibility for future boards to allow them to learn from the wisdom of the past. One of the great things that's been very successful about our Emeriti program is there's been many quote unquote generations of trustees who've come together. For a long period of time, the dean of our group was a graduate of the class of 1958 who spent many, many years as a trustee. He knew what it was like in the early days when the school struggled, and also really helped our board to come to understand that our reality today hasn't been the reality for boards of many, many years ago. Those lessons and that wisdom of the past really helped our board appreciate from where we have come. Additionally, the program has really helped build some relationships. There's been some great connections and friendships that have blossomed out of the Trustee Emeriti program, and people that wouldn't have met each other because of their board service didn't overlap have now met each other through this program. And that's led to stronger bonds with the St. John's Prep community. Our program has morphed over time. It began around 2005 and 2006, and it started with something that's a big part of Sumerian education, at least for the adults, cocktails and dinner. The program was really just a time for former trustees to get together with myself as principal and my predecessor, our former head of school, and just have a topic on any conversation related to St. John's. Sometimes we just answered questions. Sometimes we worked to put down rumors. Other times we just talked about what was happening in the life of St. John's. We gathered 2 or 3 times a year for about 2 or 3 hours. It was a good conversation. There was no formal point, and the Emeriti had no real connection with anyone else at the school aside from myself and our former head. Around 2012, 2013, when I began the role of head of school, we evolved the program a little bit more. We brought the Emeriti back to school. They had presentations by different groups on campus, sometimes with students from our Multicultural Affairs and Community Development Office, sometimes from our tech integration specialists, other times from our guidance counselors or school counselors about the college search process or some of the different challenges that students are facing, other times from our wellness program as we were beginning a capital campaign to focus on building a wellness center. The group had a chance to, the Trustees Emeriti had a chance to engage with these different presentations for an hour to 90 minutes and a chance to ask a ton of questions. And then we continued that wonderful tradition that's part of Sumerian education for the adults of cocktails and dinner. Now we were providing an opportunity to get a deeper sense of what was happening in the school, of how the school had evolved since their time as a trustee, and building on those social connections. Around 2012, 2013, we also started the program of doing an annual board retreat, much like you're doing right now. What we have done, though, is we've invited our Trustees Emeriti to participate in that retreat. These strategic planning programs that have resulted in the launching of capital campaigns, the outlining of strategic plans, the creation of visions for the future are informed not just by the experience of our current trustees, but also by the wisdom of the past, by the Trustees Emeriti who would choose to participate in that annual retreat. As time has evolved, and in 2016, 2017, my apologies, we started a new program, the Trustee Associates Program. This is a program for us to kind of gather people who have the potential to be trustees and have them connect with the school in a different way. What we decided to do when we started our Associates Program is we invited a few of our Emeriti to chair this program. This way, once again, the Emeriti are involved in passing along the wisdom of the past to future generations of trustees, and it's worked out really well. At our board retreats now, we currently involve our current trustees, our emeriti, and our associates. We have great visions, great ideas, and great conversations. The biggest challenge is the group is just getting a little too big, and we have 45 to 50 people participating on a regular basis. What makes up a Trustee Emeriti program, and how does that Trustee Emeriti program engage with the school? Well, our program really kind of keeps these loyal and supportive volunteers who've completed their service on the Board of Trustees. At St. John's, our program is any trustee who leaves the board in good standing is invited to serve as a Trustee Emeritus. Most of the time, that's after the bylaws three-year terms. Sometimes for different reasons, professional reasons, moving out of town, or family reasons, the trustee finishes after 6 years. If that trustee is leaving in good standing, we still invite them to participate in the Emeriti program. At the very least, even if they don't participate in the regular meetings or socials or gatherings, we do email updates to our Emeriti about what's happening on campus, and this group and these individuals stay connected to St. John's. At this point in time of our history, we have about 45 Trustees Emeriti, and about 30 are regularly active in St. John's programs. It's been really exciting to see them plug in and connect with what we're doing, and then become active ambassadors for our school community outside of St. John's. How do Trustees Emeriti engage with the school? We do 2 Trustee Emeriti presentations a year. These are the presentations that I talked to earlier. And again, you'll notice a theme here. The presentations are followed by cocktails and dinner. As I talked about before, our presentations are focused on the student experience, strategic planning, and diversity. In some instances, we also invite Trustees Emeriti to serve on our board committees. Currently this year, Trustees Emeriti serve on our advancement committee, as well as our trusteeship committee, or also known as the governance committee. It's been great to have Emeriti voices on the governance committee because they can really help talk about who we need to help the board become that great body that can help us strategically plan for the future of St. John's. As I noted, we also invite our Emeriti to participate in the board retreat. And lastly, we invite all of our Emeriti to participate in our leadership donor and donor stewardship events, and really ask them to serve as ambassadors for St. John's. Ideally, similar to what trustees do, Emeriti continue that process of not only coming to St. John's events and attending St. John's Prince, but advocating for St. John's events. For alumni emeritus trustees, we ask them to invite their classmates, to bring their network to prep events. For current parents or alumni parents, we do the same. So we're maintaining connection not only with the individuals, but also with their networks and with their connections with their class and other people. One of the things that's really important for the Emeriti program is there really needs to be a clarity of purpose. It's important to be clear with the Emeriti that they no longer have a fiduciary responsibility for the school and that their role is one of advisor. It's also really important to be clear that the Emeriti need to support and advocate for the work of the board, even if they disagree. Imagine how challenging it could become if the board makes a decision or endorses a strategic plan and some of those key Emeriti voices are questioning that plan or disagreeing with that plan in a public way. One of the things that's really important for any type of Emeriti program is to make sure that when someone agrees to serve as an Emeriti and be an active participant in that Emeriti program, she or he really needs to come to understand that while they don't have a fiduciary responsibility, they still have what's in our bylaws, the duty of obedience and the duty of loyalty to the larger board. Our Emeriti can't be questioning the decisions that are made by our board. And that really brings some questions that we have to ask about who we're going to invite to be Emeriti, and I'll touch on that in a moment. There's a few caveats that everyone needs to think about. First and foremost, be really clear on the role, purpose, and function of the Emeritus program. What are the responsibilities? What are the expectations? And how does the Emeritus connect to the life of the school? Secondly, and I think I've emphasized this a few times, Be really clear on who you want to participate in the Emeriti program. If you open it to everyone, you'll really need to continue that practice moving forward. However you start your program now is going to influence where your program goes in the future. Thirdly, be really clear on how the Emeriti program interfaces with the Board of Directors or Board of Trustees. If there's not a clear connection or a clear role or a clear purpose, then it can really lead to some confusion, and confusion can lead to frustration, and a program that started to help maintaining relationship is now straining those relationships. And lastly, it's really important for the Emeriti to very much understand that their job, their role is to publicly support the board and to be ambassadors for the school, regardless of their personal opinions, as they think about what the school is doing and where the school is going.